So what do you do if you have a seller that you're working with that you're offering subject to, you're offering to take over the payments, you're trying to get your first creative deal, and the seller says, hey, I want to sell my house for $300,000. I have a $150,000 mortgage, and I want at least $100,000 to be able to walk away at the closing table with, right? So a purchase price of $250,000. Obviously, this is just too much money to put down, right? Like, you're better off going with a bank, traditional financing, and just putting 20% down, 25% down, much cheaper of a down payment, right? And so the issue that you run into with creative and subject to is that the whole point is to get good terms. So what are good terms? Good interest rate, right? A long time period, 30-year mortgage ideally. And really the last thing would be your down payment, right? So having to put down $100,000 on a $300,000 house is not a great down payment, especially when we have sellers that will literally throw us the keys or pay us to take over the payments, right? And if you're looking to build a portfolio of rentals or wraps, you're gonna run out of money really fast, doing it this way. And so ultimately what I would recommend in that scenario is looking at what we would call a hybrid structure. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the seller and you're gonna say, hey, so we're good on, subject to taking over the payments. Yeah, that's fine. I just need my $100,000. It's like, okay, well, I wish I could get you the $100,000. I can't get you that all at closing. Like, for me to do that, I'd be putting a huge down payment down. And so for me, what I would look at asking them is, okay, well, like, how much do you actually need at closing to take care of X, Y, Z, right? To get to Florida, to buy the new car you wanted, to get first and last month's rent. Like, how much are you actually needing? Ask them that question. And if they say all 100,000, then it's like, sometimes your best negotiation tactic is just to walk away, right? Sometimes that helps. And you'd be surprised the amount of people that will call you back. Now, if they say, well, I guess I don't need all 100,000 at closing. I mean, I would need at least 30 to be able to, pay off the car, to do this, to do X, Y, Z that we talked about. Okay, so 30,000. And you want to kind of slow down here, right? You don't want to just say, oh yeah, I can do that for sure. So 30,000, okay. So that would leave us with 70,000 that we got to figure out what to do with, right? So number one, we could break that up, some kind of balloon in the future, which is what some people do. But ultimately, in my opinion, I think it's better to try to push them to a monthly payment. So I would just say, hey, that $70,000, I mean, I could pay that to you over time in like a monthly payment. So, basically you become like the bank, right? You're not having to deal with tenants or toilets, but you get a monthly, mailbox money check from me every single month. Like, how would something like that sound? And if they say, well, like, what are you thinking? Then you kind of have them on the hook, right? Then from there, you just got to figure out, what is the property rent for? What's the payment that you're taking over sub 2, right? And then how much can you actually afford to pay them every single month, right? And ideally what you end up doing is, instead of trying to offer them an interest rate and say, oh, like, what kind of rate do you want and all that. I've heard people do that. I don't think that's smart. We get all of our stuff at 0% seller finance because we're not mentioning interest rate, right? We're talking to them and just saying, hey, look, I'm giving you your price. I'm giving you the amount of money that you want. So for me to do that, let's say I pay you $300 a month. I could pay that, until it's paid off. Like, would something like that work for you, right? And they may have questions on, how long is that going to go for? Is it going to be 3-5 years? And, you got to talk through all this stuff. But ultimately, this is just another tool that you can use in your tool belt for you to be able to create deals that most people would just throw away, right? Because what can you do with this deal once you have it? Well, let's say you're taking over a 2-3% interest rate, sub 2, and then the seller finance portion is at 0%. That's a pretty good blended interest rate, number one, right? Especially if you got a low down payment. Now you could rent the property out as a long-term rental. You could do short-term rentals, which I'm not a huge fan of, or you could really end up owner financing at a higher interest rate. There's so many things you can do, but I just wanted to introduce this idea because people talk a lot about hybrid structures, which I think are great, but ultimately, if you don't know how to have the conversation, it really doesn't do you much good. So if you want to learn more about how to implement hybrid structures and subject to deals into really your tool belt when you're talking to sellers, go ahead and like the video, number one, comment, but then feel free to join the school community. We talk about it weekly. We have weekly Zoom calls, which is great, and you can ask questions anytime. I'll be available for you there. Love this community, excited about doing more deals together. Talk to you soon.